Okay, time for episode 7 of our little 6.5 Grendel saga here. If you remember the last video, we loaded up a ton of ammo. Like 150 rounds or 140 rounds. And some of it was for OCW testing, some of it was for ladder testing, and some of it was for ciders and stuff. It's all empty now. I've got nothing but empty brass. So I've been waiting on good wind. It's been very windy lately, so it's taken several weeks to find just the right day, especially for the 400-yard ladder testing range trip, and that finally happened. The other thing, the gun is in its final form, I think. I finally got the odd mount base with integral rings. Got that guy put on there. That thing is made for freaking the end of the world, brother. That thing is beefy and really, really nice. So got that guy on there, so the scope is permanently mounted, and things are pretty much in their final resting place. The thing's got a really cool integrated level on the back. I tell you what, let me give you a quick look at that. Yeah, so there it is, right there in the back. It is hard to see from shooting position, so I don't know that it's the perfect answer for actual leveling while you're shooting, but the reason I like it is it really helped me when I was mounting the scope to get everything level and get my reticle leveled, get it set properly. But the really, really cool thing is it glows in the dark. How about that? Checkmate, ISIS. So yeah, not sure how useful that's going to be, but apparently it helps a lot in low light, because the previous version, it's got a tritium illumination, and the previous model, people were having a hard time seeing it in low light conditions. So there it is. So that's my mount. That's my new toy. So let's get on to some target interpretation. Okay, so first up was the OCW test. This is a lot like my normal load development method. It's honestly exactly like my normal load development method. It's yeah, I'll tell you what, you guys want to see the range footage? Yeah, it's kind of boring. I'll tell you what, we'll do like a 60-second trip to the range and then come back and look. I'll show you like the first shot of each. See, I told you it would be boring. As you could see in that, I did shoot these round robin, right? Instead of shooting groups, I shot first shot at all of them, second shot at all of them, and so forth, to all 50 shots were done. I have made this target a bit of a mess. I'll tell you what, let's switch to pictures. Alright, so there's the unmarked target with the groups. Now, you may have noticed in that range footage, it was a little bit windy. I got impatient. I've been waiting for weeks to shoot this stuff, and I just got impatient. So there was a little more wind than I would like, but still not too bad. Now, I'll tell you what, let's switch to the on-target picture. Okay, so if you're not familiar with on target, that might be a little bit crazy, but top line is the group size. There at the end is the is the size in MOA. So the worst group was number 7 at 1.4 MOA, and then the best group was number 3 at 0.658 MOA. So none of them were terrible. None of them were super fantastic, you know, one hole jobs or anything. But for this OCW method, the other very important number to look at is the very last, the V, which is the you know, the vertical, yeah, you know, how far off from the point of aim I was. And you can see like the first one, 3.084, they're all right around that 3-inch mark until you get down to number 7, and it kind of shifts down a little bit. And then the last 4 are in that, let's see, the lowest one, 2.298, the last group is 2.298, and then that 7th one was 2.843. So, all right, let's come back here to the bench, and maybe this will look a little bit less crazy. So the biggest takeaway from this is my gun freaking loves AR comp. This is much more consistent than I was expecting. You know, when the worst of our point of impact shift is from, you know, 3 inches at the blue line, and then this is kind of the horrible group, right, where it started to shift point of impact. We had some up there kind of at the previous level, and then the others down there, and then from there on it stayed low, and then these were very consistent. So rather than picking, you know, this method, what you're looking for is 3 or more groups that are, you know, adjacent, that maintain the same point of impact, and that's supposed to give you an, you know, a forgiving range to load in, to where, you know, if your temperature changes or just, you know, loading inconsistencies, you're going to be in a forgiving range to where, you know, if things shift just a little bit, your point of impact isn't going to shift much. This is really the opposite. The only thing we learned from this, for, you know, as far as I'm concerned, is the area to stay away from, which I would say is this area, maybe 27.5 to 27.9 grains is where that point of impact shift is going to happen. So it's really incredible. I think I may need to redo this with a super crappy powder. Like, go back to the targets we shot in the previous video. Where are they? I got them over here somewhere. If you remember, we picked AR comp because in that 200-yard testing, it shot pretty well, and then basically everything else shot like donkey vomit. So that may be what I need to do, is pick one of the super crappy ones and run an OCW series, and maybe we'll get a more dramatic target, because this is honestly a little bit of a buzzkill here, right? There's not a whole lot to see here, other than, you know, my gun freaking loves AR comp. What I'll probably do, those last 3, well, I didn't talk about velocity. Velocity was outstanding. Our lowest charge of 26.5 grains was 2490 feet per second, and the highest one at 28.3 grains was 2626 feet per second, average velocity. So I wasn't able to shoot both of these on the same day like I was hoping for, you know, consistent conditions and all that crap. Well, I ended up shooting the 400-yard ladder test the following day and had outstanding conditions. Almost no wind, very, very, very little wind, and the velocities were just a touch lower. Like on the high side, where this day we had 2626, the following day we had right just above 2600. I think it was like 2600 something. So a little bit of shift in velocity there, and the temperature was pretty much the same. So I'm a little bit confused by why I saw that change, but there you are. So that's really it. I guess maybe to be continued. We'll try it again later with a different powder and maybe get more dramatic results, but this is all good shooting. I think if you take away the wind, this is, you know, the groups would tighten up just a touch, maybe, but overall, I'm happy with this. You know, if I could get the gun to where in good conditions I can shoot from, you know, something like that, which is 0.65 MOA up to, you know, about an MOA. I could live with that. You know, I could absolutely live with that for the time being. Because, and that's the other problem, I think after I finish this video, you know, where I talk over this testing, I need to shoot my gun, right? I need to learn my new gun. I need to get comfortable with it and work on me a little bit, brother. I need some me time with the gun to hopefully tighten these things up, because I don't think I'm doing it justice. But so far I'm incredibly happy with the barrel, with the whole gun, everything. Very happy with it. So is that enough for the OCW for the time being? Not a whole lot to see here. It was a incredibly boring target. So I tell you what, let's switch over to the ladder, and this is the target from our ladder test. What a freaking mess. I'll tell you what, let's do a little bit of range footage for that guy. I confirmed my zero on some steel before I started shooting this. So we had a little 4-inch steel target out there. We had 12-inchers. I just worked some steel plates until I got down to where I was hitting that 4-incher more often than not, and then called that a good zero and switched over to paper. So let's go look at that. Let's look at some steel, some bullets hitting paper, and then yeah. Okay, so I got lazy, didn't feel like editing any of the bullets hitting the paper at 400. Yeah, it's not exactly exciting anyway. But a couple things I wanted to clean up on the OCW side before we get to this. I seem to maybe imply that in the OCW method write-up that, you know, horizontal changes don't matter, and they do. You're just looking for consistent point of impact, you know, both vertical and horizontal, just to clear that up. And on this guy, pretty much everything was pretty darn close in the horizontal side of the house as well. So yeah, just wanted to clear that up. The other thing, and whenever I mentioned velocities, I did not mention the standard deviation, which was outstanding. On the OCW, the worst standard deviation was 11, and the best was 5. So they were all in that, you know, kind of 5 to 10 range. And on the ladder test we're about to get to, it was almost exactly the same. There were a couple that were actually 4, and let's see, the worst was 12. So very good standard deviation numbers on the velocity as far as I'm concerned. And you know, kind of like I had mentioned before, it's kind of the lowest velocity was 2480 to 2490, so just below 2500, and then the top was just above 2600. So dealing with about 125 feet per second velocity spread between our groups. Pressure signs I didn't mention. I did get some. Let's see, where the heck? I did get some of the rings. You know, I got some circles. Yeah, can we get shininess there? Can you see that guy? You know, for the ejector hole circles on some brass. And so the very highest load, which, what was that, 28.3 grains, was getting a touch hot. I don't think I'd want to shoot that over and over and over and over. But so let's see here. 28.3 grains here. I'm thinking that, you know, 28.1 or maybe even 28 flat might be a good load that I go with. Okay, so on to our ladder. So this is our target, right? So I'll provide links for the write-ups for these things so you can actually read the websites where these things are explained instead of listening to my half-ass explanation. But with the ladder test, the basic premise is as you shoot higher charges, your rounds should hit higher on the paper, right? Higher velocity should end up being a higher point of impact. And what you're looking for is, you know, instead of the ones that are like either evenly spaced, you'll get a group. You'll get a group to where several different charge weights are kind of clumping together. And that's what we're going to try and find in this guy. So I went ahead, I tracked every freaking bullet hole and marked them by the different groups. So here's a picture. Yeah. That doing anything for you? Yeah, me neither. It's a bit of a mess. So I'll tell you what. Let's switch over. Let's look at them one group at a time. So we'll go through basically each group. So here's number one. You can see kind of low and to the left. And the green cross is where On Target said the center of the group was. So I figured I would go ahead and mark that as well. So there's one. And there's two. And there's three. So far, things are kind of climbing. So let's go back. There's 1, 2, 3. And I've got the group size written on here if you care. So like the first one was, yeah, about 1.2 MOA. 2 was about 1 MOA, a little under. And then 3 was 1.1 MOA. So far so good. But then as we keep going, there's number 4. Kind of drop back down. 5, 6, kind of started the upward climb again. 7's lower. 8, had that one guy way up there. There's 9, and then there's 10. So I'll tell you what, let me loop these guys for you so you can kind of watch them, see what you think. So it's kind of a, you guys spotting the pattern? Seeing what's going on there? Because I'm not really, to be honest with you. You know, except for, 1, 2, and 3 climbing. And then everything just kind of seems, well, it's like 5, 6, and 7 kind of get a little funky. No, 5's okay. 6 and 7, the groups really open up. It looks a little bit funky. And then 8, 9, 10, they kind of start to tighten up a little bit. But this whole climbing the paper sort of thing just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So I'll tell you what, let's look. Let's look at just the center marks of the 10 groups. There you go. That, that's where On Target said the center of the 5-shot group was. What am I supposed to make of this? This was never meant to be instructional, right? You guys remember that. This is me learning this, doing this for the first time. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. I mean, I kind of see some, other than the fact that AR Comp just seems to shoot to a very consistent point of aim out of my gun. Maybe that's what I can take out of this. Maybe I need to redo this deal with, like I'd mentioned, with one of the the powders that seem to shoot crappier. I need to shoot, and you know, these were only 2/10. These groups were only 2/10 of a grain of powder increments. So maybe I need to open that up, do 4/10 or half a grain, maybe, just to kind of get the idea of what I'm looking at, you know, what I'm looking for on paper. Maybe 400 yards just is not enough to do this. Like, you know, maybe at 1,000 yards, these velocity differences would have shown themselves with a wider spread. I'm sure they would have. So I'll tell you what, let's look at just a loop of 6, 7, and 8. So these are kind of the ones that OCW told us was where we were going through a, you know, a point of impact transition. And out here at 400 yards, they're definitely the crappiest groups of the bunch. There's no doubt about it. Like, let's switch to 8, 9, and 10. Things kind of tighten up a little bit there, don't they? So OCW told us that would be good, and I would say that it also looks kind of good out there. So I don't know. Yeah, so I guess even if our ladder test target doesn't really work that well as a ladder test, like what they told us we should see, you know, on the website, the write-up for it can almost kind of work as an OCW. You know, we go back to our, you know, so we're looking at the center of each group. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're all right there together. I mean, that's so that dot, that's a 2-inch dot. So that's basically a half MOA dot. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 all sitting with their center, you know, the center of their groups within, you know, a half MOA at 400 yards. That seems useful. Like, that seems good. So yeah, I don't know. So enough of those pictures. You can see I'm a bit frustrated. I'm a bit I don't know. I don't feel like I wasted ammo or anything, but I just feel like I feel like I'm probably not shooting the gun well enough, and I really wish to God I had a longer range available. Which I was talking to a dude at the range. I might be seeking out some longer distances to play around at, but I want to give this another cycle. I want to try it with a shit powder and see if I get the and see if I can kind of just recreate exactly what I just did now and see what sort of results I get. I want to open up. I want to do a larger powder range. I want to do larger increments between the groups. And I kind of want to see what I'm supposed to see. You know, I want to see what the write-up tells me I should see. So, one thing they had mentioned was like taking Sharpies and coloring your bullets, and then as they go through the paper, they will mark themselves, and you can tell what the hell's going on. I marked these. You might see a touch of color. It didn't work for shit. I don't think I would try this without a camera. I really don't. It kind of worked. I mean, they're there. But man, that would be a frustrating way to do it. A camera down range is definitely something I would recommend. Does that cover it? I think so. This is going to be a short video, right? I got a lot of time making these stupid little graphics. But I needed to do that anyway. But this is going to be a short one. I think that's it. I know I probably built it up like, you know, you should expect more than this, but what can I tell you, man? It just didn't work out like I wanted. But it was useful data. I think my gun loves AR comp, and the 123 grain AMAXs. I'm happy with them. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to load up a whole bunch of them at probably 28 grains right here. Should be right around 2,600 feet per second, and it should give pretty darn good performance. And then I need to go out, shoot my gun, get it broken in, get everything adjusted just like I want, see just how well it'll shoot, and then come back to it. So there'll be more videos to come, and more videos to come soon. I might, maybe I'll film some of my attempts at improving my marksmanship with this gun. But, alright guys, see you guys next time.